Yeah, this is Human Furnace from Ringworm. And today we're going to be talking about our brand new record coming out called Seeing Through Fire. It comes out August 18th on Nuclear Blast Records. And yeah, we're going to chat a little bit about it.
Beautiful, mate. Thanks for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
As you
Glad
say,
to be here.
Ringworm will unleash your ninth studio album, Seeing Through Fire, on August 18th. So you guys are no strangers to releasing music, mate. But do you still get nervous or anxious the closer it gets to release date?
No, never. No, I never do. I mean, we get excited. I wouldn't say nervous. I mean, we've been down this, we've done this before.
Yep.
And, like a lot of bands, this record was done a long time ago. I mean, the record had been done well over a year ago. I mean, it takes a while these days to get a record out. So we've been sitting on it for a while. So if anything, it'll be a relief. Like finally, this record comes out, So yeah, we're pretty psyched for it. It all worked out. Sometimes when you're patient, because we were originally going to put this record out ourselves, because we went to the studio, recorded it, and we're intent on putting it out ourselves. And then we were patient with it a little bit, and because of that, we were able to connect with Nuclear Blast, and they were all about putting it out and doing it for us. So we were very excited about that.
Now, can you tell us a bit more about the album from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it?
Well, with this one, the way we go about records is it doesn't change too much. I mean, we are how do you say it? We're not ashamed to say that we're maybe a one or a two trick pony. Yeah. Meaning we're not going to reinvent the wheel, but what we try to do is say perhaps reinvent our own wheel every so often. I mean, there's a lot of bands that you know what you're going to expect from them, like bands like Motorhead or AC/DC or Bolt Thrower. You know what you're going to get from them, and that is totally fine. So we don't ever feel the urge to upend what we do and what we've always done. Now, that being said, with this new one, musically, as far as the songs go, we've always been a band that has incorporated, even from our demo from 1991, we've always incorporated a little bit of everything. We've had some grindcore, thrash metal, hardcore, punk rock. You know what I mean? We've always been a kind of a hybrid band. We've never really been pigeonholed into one thing. Some people call us a hardcore band. Some people call us a metal band. Some people from a different point of view, like, yeah, you guys sound like a punk rock band. You know what I mean? So throughout the years and through each record, all those elements are built into our DNA. So some records have a little bit higher count of metal. Some have lean a little bit towards more hardcore, but all those elements are in there. With this new one, we kind of think we leveled everything out. So there's equal amounts of just about everything that we kind of bring to the table. There's still a lot of punk rock feel to it, but then there's some hardcore stuff that's definitely in there. There's definitely some thrash metal, definitely some grind. There's a little bit of elements of death metal. So I think with this new one, musically, song-wise speaking, we've kind of leveled everything off and kind of went back to our first couple records where we had a fresh mix of all of our, I guess, influences.
Cool.
Yeah. How's that sound?
That sounds fantastic, mate. I'm probably one of the best descriptions I've ever been given. That's great.
There we go.
And you released the singles No Solace, No Quarter, No Mercy, and Thought Crime. So would you say they're a good sonic representation of what to expect?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we tried to do. It was kind of hard to pick. There's a lot of other really catchy ones on the album. But we picked those two. It's a pretty good representation. Thought Crimes is just lights out speed. The other one has some good heavy hooks in it, some good mosh stuff, a lot of good headbanging stuff. So, the Thought Crimes also has kind of like that punk rock D-beat swing to it too that we love. So I think it's a pretty good mix of what you're going to hear on the rest of the record.
Yeah. I love the film No Solace too, bro. Like when you got a battle waging between two Vikings in the forest, like that looked like a lot of fun. Looked like
that was pretty fun. We hooked up some friends of ours, this company called The Coin, and usually I'm somewhat of a control freak when it comes to aesthetics and stuff, and they had a lot of great ideas for that, so I kind of let them do their thing with it. and they did a great job with it. We went over the song and what it kind of means a little bit, and they kind of came up with a little direction to go with it, and I thought they did great with it. We have another video that we did with them that's going to be coming out very soon too, for another track on the record. So I'm excited for that one as well. Yeah.
You sort of touched on this a little bit earlier, but you're quoted as saying that we wanted to go with a slightly different approach and look than previous releases on this record. So can you elaborate on that for us?
Well, it was a strange thing, and when we put our previous record in 2019, we did a little bit of monitoring for it, and we were really gung-ho about kind of really taking it out there and doing some touring, go to Europe, because we hadn't been there in a while. We were going to try to do a lot of stuff with that record. And then, of course, the world shut down for 2 years, and that was a really tough thing for a lot of bands to deal with. Some bands didn't make it, some bands just couldn't do it, And so that was our third record with Relapse. So our contract was up with them, but they had the option to do another record, and they wanted to pass on it. So we were like, okay, that's fine. And at the time, like, the world may have been shut down for 2 years, but there were still bands writing and recording music. So there just came this bottleneck of like hundreds of releases that these labels had to deal with, So even if, we were to stick with Relapse, we probably wouldn't have been able to get a record out with them till 2024, basically, because they were so bottlenecked. And, so we were like, you know what, that's okay. But at the time, we had lost our manager, we had lost a booking agent, we had lost our label, we had a lot, we didn't, you know what I mean? And then the world shut down, and we're like, well, so we just went back to what we always do. We're like, we love doing this. So let's just write a record. Let's just write it, record it, put it out ourselves. And this is what we're here for. We're not here to make millions or to, play the Coliseum. We're here to just make a record that we like. So that's what we did. And so it seemed like a fresh start for us, and in particular, the way we recorded this record, as far as the sonic elements of this record, it's just, all our records are aggressive and mean and nasty, but this one just kind of ups the ante a little bit. And then with the artwork, I took a fresh take on the artwork, so that felt like a new era, I guess, kind of getting away from the three previous ones I did for the Relapse albums. So everything just felt pretty fresh and new. And when we were done with it, our engineer Noah was like, guys, I know you're going to put this out yourselves, but this record sounds pretty fucking good. He's like, do yourselves a favor and just, at least for me, just go shop this around. And we were able to, I had a couple friends, and I was able to talk to some people, and Nuclear Blast gave it a listen, and right away they're like, yeah, we want to do this. Let's put it out. So from there on, we're like, okay, let's do it. And things kind of came back all around again. So
so if we can go back to the beginning of the band, mate, like Ringworm started in Cleveland, Ohio back in 1989. So what was the musical climate like that gave birth to the band, and where did you fit in initially?
Well, that's really awesome, because back in 89, there wasn't so many, you didn't have to be pigeonholed into a certain genre. There wasn't that many back then, you know what I mean? That was before internet, before all types of stuff where you could put your music into certain folders, you know what I mean? Like this type of grind, that grind, this core, that core. There wasn't that, you know what I mean? There was very few genres that you could get placed in, so to speak. Crossover was one of those genres where I don't know what they are, they're crossover. And that's kind of where we fell in, because we would end up playing shows with straight up metal bands and straight up punk bands on the bill, and then us, so it was a good time where, it was kind of the Wild West in a certain way, because there were so many different bands just all in the same bill. And it was great because you get to hear all types of stuff. And so as time progressed out of that, and we kind of took our progression to where we were going, and I guess the hardcore genre went one way and the metal went one way, and we kind of just kept going straight down the middle. So at a certain point, we would kind of get, I guess people sometimes had a difficult way of putting us in a genre, because sometimes they'd be like, well, they're too hardcore to be metal. And then other people are like, well, they're too metal to be hardcore. Yeah. So we always fucking found our way to kind of ride the fence or to our favor, or sometimes not. Because when you get labeled a hardcore band, okay, you know, in my eyes, you know, Terror or Agnostic Front, they're more Madball. Those are hardcore bands to me, kind of, you know. And if someone's like, "Oh, Ringworm, they're a hardcore band," you know, if you're a metalhead, you're like, "No, I've heard Madball and all them. I don't like hardcore," and they wouldn't give us the time of day. And vice versa, metal bands like, "I don't like hardcore band," you know, or hardcore guys like, "I don't like metal bands." So that we would always ride this fence and not get listened to by either side because we were categorized as one or the other. Yeah. So over time, we kind of forged our own little niche in the middle where we've always incorporated everything. So sometimes that's good because both sides, or, you know, more people can like you. But in a way, sometimes some people won't listen to you because they think that you sound something that you don't. You know what I'm saying? It's difficult. It's sometimes it's difficult, but we wouldn't change a thing. We do what we do, you know.
So you've got Seeing Through Fire comes out on August 18th, mate. But what's next for Ringworm after that? What do you got planned for the rest of the year?
Well, we go. Let's see. Next week we have a pre-record release show. We're playing here in town with death metal band Nunslaughter and Deceased. So that should be really fun show here in Cleveland. I think that one's sold out already. Then we kind of completely flip the script, and 2 days later we go up to, just like I was talking about, we're playing a death metal show with Nunslaughter and Deceased. 2 days later, we're up in Detroit playing with Sick of It All and Life of Agony.
Oh, wow.
So that right there shows you the dichotomy of this band. Yeah. We could do this. We could play with these death metal bands, and then we could go play with Sick of It All. So, and then after that, we have, after the record comes out, we do a 3-week tour on the East Coast of the United States with Venom Inc. and old school British heavy metal band Satan. Yeah. So that's going to be awesome. So that's a totally fan base right there. We're going out with Venom, and we're playing with, like, you know, we just did Cro-Mags. So we could fit in with everybody. And then after that, it's not set yet, but let's just say that you, where are you calling me from?
Australia, Brisbane.
What city?
Brisbane. In Australia. Where? Brisbane.
Oh, I just did one from Brisbane this afternoon, but I'll tell you the same thing. You may be seeing our band down there before the end of the year.
Very good, mate. Well, if that's the case, I'll make sure I come along and we have ourselves a beer.
We'll have more than one.
Sounds
plural.
It sounds even better.
We'll see. We're working on the logistics to try to make that work. It's always difficult these days. It always has been coming down there. Yeah. But we're hopeful that we can make it work, because we've been down there like 4 times in our career, and we've loved every single time. It's been awesome. So.
Oh, well, I won't push you for too much more, mate, but hopefully that does happen and we see you out here soon.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, brother. Well, thanks very much for your time, but I'm going to call you James, because calling you Human Furnace just doesn't.
That's okay. Human Furnace is my stage name, my stripper name.
Well, I'm glad you kept your clothes on for this one, mate.
Sure.
Too early in the morning for male nudity.
Well, you can't see me from the waist down, so I mean, you know.
Well, don't stand up.
I haven't had pants. I've been doing Zoom meetings all day. I haven't bothered to put pants on, man.
Do me a favor and don't stand up.
All right.
Right, yeah, brother. Well, Seeing Through Fire is out August 18th, and like you say, she's a cracker, man. I had to listen to it before this interview, and very, very, very good album, mate. So good luck with it, and hopefully we'll see you out here before Christmas.
Sounds good to me.